Monster Hunter has a big problem that I don't think we talk about enough. Low rank to high rank monsters. You see, my problem here is that we don't get enough of them later on down the line. In Master Rank, they all kind of fall off. They get like one cool little new move and then that's it. That's all you get from them. Better example, Great Jaggers. You're not going to go out of your way to go farm for a Great Jaggers Master Rank Greatsword, if there even is one. I don't know if there is. Or even on top of that, Lagumbi. Now Lagumbi, the Monster Hunter Rise variant, by the way, you don't really go out of your way to go hunt him unless the whole curio nonsense or situation's going on. Or we even look at Urgon, for example. Urgon, while he is a high rank monster, you don't really interact with him too much, and most of your gear that you want to go get, he doesn't really pertain too much to it. Okay, Pon, you've been talking about this so-called problem. So how do you fix this situation? Before I do tell you about my new critical thinking skills, about tempereds, and about, of course, the curio whole thing, with the lower monsters getting affected with curios, higher levels, and for temperers, also level threats and stuff like that. Yes, those are good ways to take care of low rank and high rank monsters, but not in an effective way where you can still put them all on the board. Because at the end of the day, you're still only grinding for a set few for just that one piece you need and then fucking off. So now that that's all out of the way, let me finally tell you what it is. It's a roguelike. Now granted, not everyone's a big fan of roguelikes. However, if you're like me, you will understand where I'm coming from when I say all this. Roguelikes are something that keeps everything fresh, always renewed, always revitalized. Take games like Hades, or Hades 2 if you ever played that one. I haven't. I really wish I could. Please bring it to Xbox. But I got a few big reasons as to why this is a good step in the right direction. Starting with the first one, the mechanics. It doesn't have to be the core gameplay as to why you would do this. It could be like a side project, kind of like how they had it in Rise when it came down to like the whole tower defense thing, but it's more like you run through a gauntlet, and with each monster you kill, you get like a boon or a buff to your weapon. So I want you to imagine this. Imagine 10 set of monsters, and at the end of every 10, the 10th monster being like an Elder Dragon or something on the same level as the Elder Dragon, like I don't know, like a Furious Rajang or something like that. Now with monsters 1 through 9, I want them to be our low rank monsters. And the reason behind this is because we can add new effects to them, like modifiers in a way, to keep it fresh with that new reusability, the replayability, you know? And I kind of want to have like random events that also pop out in the middle of them, kind of like how they have it in Hades, where you do have random events that also show up in the middle of it. But instead of them having like story purposes and stuff like that, it could be like another monster joins the fray, so now you're fighting 2 monsters in that one go. Or it could be where Kuliaku only picks up elemental type weaponry, aka rocks that he picks up, you know, like because he uses rock. Or could you imagine like Lagumbi throws a fucking like snowball at you, while all of a sudden you get paralyzed and you hit the floor and you're just like, oh, you're that bitch today, huh? Hell, if we really want to get all problem childy with this whole thing, we can actually bring in Puki Puki and make him not only do water blight to you, well, this is, I guess I'm talking about Coral Puki Puki. Regardless, we can have it to where not only he does water blight, but also poison as well. But now I want to point to the reason as to why. Why are we doing this? From a lore perspective and a reward perspective, because now these days you can't just play a game without something in return. So the why, which leads into the lore part that I'm going to make up on the fly. Not really much on the fly, but just be an open mind on this one, because this isn't real or anything. I just thought that it would fit the narrative within Monster Hunter world, or any Monster Hunter, really. I'm paraphrasing this, by the way. So let's say an ancient ritual that most strong hunters used to do way back before they even had the whole grappling hook stuff. They had to push forward and fight multiple monsters in order to obtain such a higher rank, or even get even a higher status. And for them to obtain such a higher status, they had to do such crazy trials, like they had to fight 10 monsters in a row. I think I'm cooking a little bit. I smell something. It smells burnt, but we'll keep pushing past. At the end of all of that, you get something in return besides just materials and stuff like that. A way to change your weapon. Let's say you get that in return. Like, you have to make materials, of course, in order to get the alternate change for the weapon, and then once you get it, you can then use it, of course. But this is only meant for the strongest of hunters, and they can only be trusted to the strongest of hunters. As you're still struggling and pushing yourself, beyond your limits, and yet the monsters are only getting stronger and stronger. And in this canon that I have in my head, of course, not even most A-listers can actually complete such a thing. It's actually rather difficult for even the A-listers to take care of. But there's always an exception, such as you, the person who's playing, can perhaps pull it off. For you to get this is trial by fire. We only let this out to the most strongest and willing of hunters to accept the challenge and fight monsters beyond their strength and yet still coming out on top. And then, and only then, will they have the privilege to wield an alternate weapon.
But, Jason, what exactly is an alternate weapon? You never really said that.
Shut up and listen. Anyways, right. Alternate weapons. Like I said, they're supposed to be kind of like how Warframe has it. When you activate the gauge on the weapon, because I'm assuming in my blocky head, you would usually activate a, gauge for this to use. So when it runs out, you have to build it back up and then you can use it again. That's kind of how the mechanic of that would probably work in my head. But with these type of alternate weapons, they have extra effects attached to them. For instance, like let's say for the greatsword, instead of the greatsword, swinging your weapon, now it adds shockwaves to it. So when you hit the ground, you do a set percent damage when you're hitting the ground, and then it hits the monster like that. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Or for instance, dual blades, you get chain whips to where now it shoots out, and when you swing, you have a larger range of swinging your sword or dual blades, right? But you get what I'm saying though, right? It doesn't sound too bad. You have a gauge, so you have a limited amount of time, well, a limited amount of usage, I should say, while you're using it. And then you switch back, and then you switch back to it, and you do this whole song and dance between the two, between your regular and then the alternate version of the weapon. Or we can use, for instance, switch axe. You know how switch axe has discharge, right? How about the discharge starts flinging off the weapon when you start swinging it? And you don't have to be nowhere near the monster. As long as the gauge is built up for the discharge could start swinging off, and this could be its alternate version of it. Where you don't even have to be next to the monster. As long as the gauge is filled up for the discharge, you can start slinging the elements, blight, or whatever you have on it off of the blade in a type of slash motion and hitting the monster. Kind of like how they had it back in Monster Hunter Frontier, but yeah, you're starting to see the picture what I'm getting here, right? All in all though, this is just my look at it when it comes down to reusing our old or lesser known monsters or even low rank monsters. We can just mush them all together in this one little pile, and I promise you a lot of people probably may not really hate it that much. I don't hate it. I'm sure we would love to reuse all of our old monsters rather than just making them tempers or curio versions, because I feel like it's just not the most effective way putting that same amount of dopamine to go fight those same monsters again. And the only reason why you're fighting those same monsters again is because, well, first off, they're easy, or they have a certain item that you need from the monster. Let's be honest. Back in curio crafting shit, the main reason why you went on your way to go fight the level 100 Gumby or level 100 Arzuros was because it was easy to do. Granted, don't get me wrong, they were strong as shit, yeah, but at the end of the day, their moveset didn't really change that whole much. They didn't really have nothing else to them. It wasn't all that big, and it really wasn't all that crazy. But that's just my take on it. And how do you guys feel about it? I would really love to know down in the comment section. Either you guys are going to like this, or you're going to ridicule me for being a fucking dumbass. So you know what? I'm fine with one. Well, yeah, one of them. The other one will hurt my feelings, but you know, it is what it is.